Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the JESS MARSHALL Podcast. Wow. Mark that swipe. Bring it. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the JESS MARSHALL Podcast, the solo edition. We're calling it Curious Jess. I come on here every week, hopefully, and talk about things that I'm dialed in on, things that are making me happy, sad, mad, or most of all, things that interest me because I'm interested in a fuck ton of stuff. I hope you're joining us today because you have liked and subscribed to the channel. If not, please do. And let's get rolling straight away. Sohail and I. Sohail's my all-star, all-pro producer of the JESS MARSHALL Podcast. What's up, brother? Talking about crazy TikTok stuff that's come out this week. I didn't even know what we're about to talk about, but what I did know is that TikTok is under attack at the highest levels, the macro levels, the government levels, because big tech out of Silicon Valley is done getting their lunch eaten by TikTok. They're getting run right off the field by TikTok. TikTok has just absolutely gone out and grabbed a massive market share away from Twitter, away from Instagram, away from Facebook, Meta, that whole thing, away from Google and YouTube as well, because the TikTok platform is a video action platform where people are getting lost on that platform for literally hours. And the presence time on that platform on TikTok is dwarfing all of the time on the other platforms, and big tech's done with it. And they are, because they can't compete, are now looking to politicians to carry the water for them. And I believe Marco Rubio came out last week, maybe even earlier this week, to talk about how this is a China thing, blah, blah, blah. This is a terms of service thing. Man, if you think that the other social media platforms you're on that are other than TikTok are not tracking your keystrokes, they don't have access to your microphone, they don't have access to all your data because everyone's made this big deal, especially Rogan, about the terms of service on TikTok, you are smoking that good meth, because all of the social media platforms are capping all of your data. They're trying to get as much of your data all the time, everywhere. That's why it's free to you to use. So if you think TikTok's any different than Meta, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, or than Twitter, or than Reddit, or than YouTube or Google, you're out of your mind. But it is funny, because when old white men can't compete, what do? They use their power and influence to get what they want. Isn't that the patriarchy, Sohail?
That was a little loud, huh?
I'm a young, just rugged individualist, good-looking white man, and I don't know if I had that power and influence what I would do if I couldn't compete with a competitor who was in the same vertical, in the same industry as me, and they couldn't roll with me, or I couldn't roll with them. We step on the field, they beat me fair and square. Do I then turn to my local politician or my countrywide politicians to carry my water for me, to put them out of business so that I can thrive at business? I mean, that's not what business is about. At least it's not what it's supposed to be about. And business is not supposed to be tied in the United States of America, the land of the free, the home of the brave, with politics. That's how business is tied in China. The government runs all the businesses, and that's how they roll. It's not supposed to be that here. It's supposed to be free market. It's supposed to be capitalism reigns. You make the better mousetrap, you sell more mousetraps. If your mousetrap isn't trapping as many mice, go make a better mousetrap.
Kind of seems, though, right? Like that. Maybe it doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't work like that. And if you're in the know and if your eyes are open, you've seen for a long time how tied in big business is with our government. The interests of big business, lobbyists, who's tapping politicians to step forward. It's usually people with who are sitting on a big war chest of funds. You've never heard their names, whether it's the Kochs or George Soros or whoever on both sides. Again, I tell y'all all the time, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I am an independent. If I'm anything, I'm a libertarian. Less government, more power to the people. It's just crazy, man. TikTok is running the game right now, and a lot of people in the know. Rogan had on Adam Curry a couple days ago. Very interesting podcast. You check him out. Adam Curry's an awesome guest. Rogan's had him on numerous times. I don't agree with everything that Curry says. I don't agree with everything that Rogan says. Rogan's got points of view that are off base, in my opinion, sometimes, but he's got a good perspective on things as well. And Rogan has been railing against TikTok's terms of service, terms of use for a year now. And they are pretty disturbing when you read all the way through them. But when you compare the TikTok terms of use to all other terms of use and service, what you are agreeing to is you may have unfettered access to my phone and my other devices that my phone ever communicates with. And in exchange for that unfettered access, I get to use your platform to look at Instagram models, or to look at what someone had for lunch on Facebook, or to text or chat with someone overseas for free on WhatsApp. There's a trade-off. There are no free lunches. When I walked into the studio today and told Sohail about this craziness, like Mike Tyson would say, craziness, he mentioned the heat button at TikTok. Sohail, walk us through what you meant by that, brother.
Yeah, so I'm reading from Forbes right now. It says TikTok and ByteDance employees regularly, I've never heard of ByteDance, engage in heating, a manual push that ensures specific videos achieve a certain number of views. So individual employees, it's seemed from the interviews I saw that a lot of employees have the option to manually push content, and it's a tiny percentage of our For You page, but think about how many scrolls you do on average. There's got to be a couple in there that you see that have been manually heated, not just the magical algorithm. And, I think the main purpose of this is to push people onto the platform and be like, hey, we want you on TikTok, come join. And then they join, they heat you up, and then you're like, oh, cool, I'm going to stay on TikTok and drive my audience to TikTok, whatever. But there's the more interesting conversation about what if TikTok becomes like Facebook did with information and controlling narratives and public discourse. Do these employees at TikTok have dominion over public discourse? I think that's the interesting convo.
I think it is an interesting conversation, but like I've said, my position on all of this is it's their company. Whatever they want to do with it, they can do. If they are coming out making statements like, we do not do this, but they are doing it behind closed doors, obviously then we have an integrity issue. So if that integrity issue is so serious to you as a user of the platform, then boycott the platform. It's been said that Apple has been approached by the powers that be to not allow TikTok on Apple devices. And Apple said, yeah, no, TikTok is so powerful, so pervasive, so persuasive, and so popular. Now, look at that alliteration, bro. That is off the cuff. That's 4 Ps. That's amazing.
Chat GPT for that?
That's fucking crazy. I am AI. Chat GTP wrote and is delivering this entire podcast, this solo podcast. All I am is a hologram. Okay? All right? We getting used to the new paradigm here? There's another P, by the way. I don't know, man. The people who whine and holler about the platforms, about big tech, man, go invent your own. Go make your better mousetrap and run it however you want to run it. Now, if you're off telling everybody that no, we don't shadow ban, no, we don't control the spread of harmful data, like, Zuckerberg admitted happened with the Hunter Biden laptop on Facebook. Listen, guys, if you think it's all fair, I don't know where you've been living your whole life. It ain't fair. Okay, we have an awesome opportunity, a better opportunity than anyone else on the face of the planet because of where we were born, which we had no control over. Leverage that. Take advantage of that. Get out every day and make the best of your life. If you want a better life, go out there and get it because it's out there to be had if you want to work for it. But sitting around wasting energy and time complaining about what big tech is doing with their platforms is totally counterproductive. They can do whatever they want. If you want to go buy one, get $44 billion together and go buy one and run it the way you want to run it. I do think that it's really interesting what Musk is doing with TikTok. I mean, he has said...
With Twitter?
Yeah, with Twitter. He has said that he wants to turn Twitter into a super app. We don't have a super app like WeChat has in China. WeChat's illegal here, right? It's not allowed. That's my understanding of WeChat. I have a very limited, primitive understanding. There's another P. But I don't believe WeChat is allowed here. And WeChat is a super app. So you go on there to consume your entertainment. You go on there to do your web searches. You go on WeChat to do all of your banking. You go on there to do all of your texting and email. It's your one and only app. And Musk has said that's what he wants to turn Twitter into. And I think his effort to get rid of all the bots, verify all the users, it's pissing popular people off, right? Because everybody can get a blue check mark if they verify. But I think it's interesting because with ChatGPT coming out, with AI taking over, how are we going to know that what you posted is from you? Or is it from a mimic account? Or did you even write it? For example, a lot of written posts already, long written posts on the platforms that push that, which is mainly Facebook, a lot of those are already being written by ChatGPT, especially on professional pages or celebrity pages. So if you go through there and read now, it's much different. It sounds much more human, like a person actually wrote it, than a lot of those like clickbait articles that you'll find online. If you're just clicking around looking to buy a pair of sneakers or whatever, you might see some clickbait headline that talks about like Prince Harry admits to illegal drug use. And then you'll go tap on that link and it'll take you to a very shady Bitly website or something like that, that the way that it's written, Sohail, you and I have talked about this before, the way it's written is it's more than obvious that whoever wrote it wasn't a human, right? It's like the verbiage, the grammar, the syntax, even like the rhythm of the sentences, they don't quite sound natural.
Me and my parents were talking about this last night because, we're a house full of educators. They're both teachers. And I asked them, hey, what are the teachers in school, thinking about ChatGPT? And they're like, a lot of them, the old school teachers, are really upset about it, scared about it. And the thing is, when it comes to education, when it comes to anything where this technology can be used, which is everything, it's here. So to deny that it's here and not adopt it and use it to become the most powerful student or the most powerful business person is just not, people are going to do that. And, the ethical concerns and the scary concerns about like the end of the world type shit is valid too. But, it's going to happen. We have to now train people, and we're not good at this. Our school system's not good at this. Our society's not good at this, but train people on how to use it, just like people have to know how to parse the information that now we know is made by this, right? And
listen,
critical thinking.
Critical thinking, if you got to be thinking for yourself. If you read something and it sounds a little off, you should probably assume it is until you're able to verify whether it is or isn't. Snopes is a good way to try to do that. There's many others out there where you can fact check something.
Snopes is run by China.
Well, I'm
just kidding.
It's I have no way to say that's not true because I don't really know. My knowledge about Snopes is pretty limited. Listen, I just go to Fox News, and if they say it, then I just adopt that thinking. I just run with it full speed through every brick wall, and I just rattle that off like it is the anointed scripture. No, I don't. A lot of people do. Or some other mainstream media news source, which, by the way, mainstream media losing market share hand over fist, just absolutely dying. Advertisers looking at numbers. And listen, all the news is a fancy, creative way to get you to watch a Toyota Trucks commercial. That is the bottom line. If you have the news on because you want to stay informed, find a better way to stay informed. They just got you dialed in to freak you out, to tell you the same thing for the 30th day in a row in the 30th same way about the Idaho killer.
Speaking of, let's talk about this guy.
And to get you to watch some crazy ad. Yeah, Louder with Crowder, Steven Crowder in a big-time knockdown drag-out with Ben Shapiro and the people over there at
Daily Wire.
At Daily Wire. And this is a very interesting debate. I think that a lot of this is staged. Crowder doesn't seem like that type of posturer. Neither does Shapiro, but you never know. I think Shapiro is telling everybody that like the people who work for him handled a lot of this. They offered Steven Crowder a contract right? To come over to Daily Wire. Daily Wire employs who else? They pay Gina Carano to act in some of their movies. They pay who else?
Candace Owens. They have Jordan Peterson. They have
Michaela Peterson.
That one girl, Cooper something. The young girl who pretends to be a streamer, a hip.
I don't know. I don't dial really in on much of Ben Shapiro's stuff just because the way his delivery.
You don't know Femme Shapiro?
No. Ben Shapiro's an interesting guy, but his delivery is kind of a turnoff. It's work for me to listen to some of his content. But what they told Louder with Crowder, Steven Crowder, who, if you don't know who that is, he's
that's literally her, Brett Cooper.
Interesting. And you call her Femme Shapiro because she's Ben Shapiro, but
tell me, I mean,
yeah, they look very similar. The eyebrows are.
It's super interesting because they have this whole set for her that mimics a Twitch streamer's bedroom, and they have her wear the headphones, and they have her try to interact with chat. Or no, not really, but
she's in a high rise.
Show. Yeah, it's like a studio show.
She's got hospitality waiting for her in the green room next door. Get some carrot sticks and some ranch.
Craft services.
Yeah, craft services. Maybe an old fashioned between sets.
Interesting thing about the Crowder Shapiro battle is like Shapiro, or let's say Daily Wire, is reaching out to Crowder because they love what Crowder does. They're saying, hey, you could add value to our company. What does Crowder do? I mean, we could have a debate about this, but he does racism online very well. And they want that, but they're like, if you get demonetized and go too hard with the racism, we're not going to pay you for that. It's hilarious to me.
Well, it is, but so this is kind of like a fake controversy, right? Everybody on the right saying, "Oh, we all got to band together," and so this tribalism in politics and now in our culture, in my opinion, is just a joke. So if you don't toe the company line in the Republican Party, right, they call you a rhino. You know what that means?
Mm-hmm.
Republican in name only. Dan Crenshaw gets accused of that all the time. So you're more mainstream Republicans.
Yeah.
If you're not
never Trump.
Yeah, if you say anything bad about Trump, then all the Trumpers call you a rhino. This is why I think our two-party system in this country is just so ridiculous. There are a lot of us out here who do not align very well with either party, and yet when it comes to voting, we have to pick the lesser of two evils, and we say we are the best country on the face of the earth, and yet we can't come up with a viable third party that wouldn't end up causing the party that we disagree with the most to end up taking over. It's very interesting. Louder with Crowder, Steven Crowder, his big thing too was the way he kind of went viral, so he'll correct me if I'm wrong, were the tables on college campuses that changed my mind. Yeah.
He engaged in debates with 19-year-olds.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, can you find one that we could give as an example? Because this is an interesting way to make a name for yourself, and he certainly leaned into it.
Let's not forget about the great reenactment of George Floyd's murder.
Yeah.
And Steven's just a failed theater kid. You know, he was on Arthur. He was the brain on Arthur on the later seasons, the worst seasons.
Don't let anybody who's creating content try to convince you that they're just some, I don't want anyone looking at my stuff. I mean, that's the goal. So a failed theater kid, that's a funny.
Him and Ben. You know, Ben also wanted to be in the arts, but then you realize how good of a grift conservative guru
it is. A good
punditry
grift
is.
Well, I don't think that
I love that Crowder's like, oh, big con, let's stick together against the billionaire funded. Like, there's no way he hasn't seen some of that money, because his mug club is not funding everything. And so that's why when you say it's staged, I mean, maybe, but
well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think Shapiro would do well if he wanted to be an actor and they cast him in a Western, but he showed up and he wouldn't put a cowboy hat over the yarmulke. You know, I mean, that's I'd change jobs too. He's got a brand that he leans into.
And some people on the left view that in and of itself as adding fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
And I would argue adding fuel to the fire is simply trying to eliminate voices from the conversation. By the way,
that or just being completely polarizing and just being like, you suck.
Right, yeah.
He is crazy to put that woman in the teaser, or that person.
Why?
That's so, bro.
You can't call her a woman and not
Sorry,
get in
person,
trouble?
person.
That person?
Time for this holiday installment of Change My Mind, where we rationalize our positions on seemingly controversial topics. Now, today's subject is an oldie, but I would argue a goodie, in There Are Only Two Genders. Now, I should note I first covered this topic on Change My Mind all the way back in 2017, but the discussion around gender in the United States and globally certainly has undergone a major transition. No pun kind of intended.
Is an outlaw.
It's good to see that Crowder's been hitting the weights. I like to see that.
Yeah, but his heart was giving him trouble last year.
He might need to dial down on the muscle tissue, like Josh Thomas would say. You know, lean up there, bro.
Right.
You're putting a little pressure on. It's a very interesting. It's an interesting gimmick approach to get college kids to come in there with their.
When he was dropping these, I was watching them religiously.
Did
just
you want to
like
go argue with him
seething.
if he'd ever
Hell
come to
no.
Texas?
I would never. It's never. And we talk about good faith. This guy is the definition of.
Well, Charlie Kirk does a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah, he's the worst.
And it's lead you down
Small
a path.
head ass.
Well, yeah, lead you down a path, give you enough rope to hang yourself with, and then try to make you look like a fool. And then everybody who roots for your tribe and your team is over there standing ovationing you. And
then
you
they pay
are,
you. You know, they do these college tours. Charlie Kirk, and he gets paid both by his Turning Point script and these colleges alumnus, their conservative alumnus. You know, who
Bro.
They double what he makes.
You can't say grift with such disdain when it comes to conservatives, because everyone is grifting everyone. I talk about that on the podcast all the time.
I talked about that with Corey, and it's like, yes, everyone's grifting, but you make a lot more money as a conservative grifter. There are the Don Lemons out there who are quote unquote liberal. We know how I feel about that. Name one leftist grifter. It doesn't make any money. There's no billionaire leftist, or that's the whole point.
Well, I mean, you have a Don Lemon movie poster on your bedroom wall. You've sent me a photo of that, so we do.
Okay,
know how
I'm
you
ending
feel
the
about
stream.
Don. Yeah.
Thanks for watching. That's it.
No, I mean, okay, so that's we've talked about that all the time. Like, if you follow people on social media, and especially if they are far to the right, the goal is to either get you to cheer and then buy my T-shirt, or it's to scare you and then buy this ball cap, or it's to piss you off and then buy the T-shirt and the ball cap 2 for 1.
Yeah, the
And
Enrique guy.
I mean, it's everywhere. Everybody's running a grift. You know, preachers, politicians, teachers. I mean, it is what it is. If you don't realize that you're being marketed to and grifted, you've got to take a step back and look like, okay, and I say this all the time. If you watch one type of content all the time and you're just like, yep, that's what I'm talking about, and you never introduce yourself to the differing points of view, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. Because I think what ends up happening is it becomes very cult-like, right? Everyone just follows right along. Like, what are we talking about? Okay, I agree. Yes, amen. You know? It's like, I don't know. It's gross. It's uninformed. Like, we can do better than that. Go out, form your own opinion on research you do. Or don't complain and don't talk about shit that you don't know anything about. So if something's really bothering you, why don't you get to the bottom of it and come up with your own reasons why you agree, disagree. But even better, instead of just complaining, how about if you come to the table, if you want to talk about something, with an idea of how to improve it and solve it, right? I mean, it's so easy to just complain and bitch and moan and whine, and that's what a lot of us do, knowingly or most often unknowingly.
I'm gonna put you on to some my leftist content.
I really want to start to partake in some leftist grifting content. And when you put me onto it, I expect you to identify it as grifting. But you're probably right in that the money on the more conservative pages, platforms, efforts is probably much, much better. I mean, do we have proof of that, or is it just the proof's in the pudding that there's way more of these on the right?
The proof is that there's no leftism. Point to a Corey tried to name leftists. He's naming like chief of staffs and like straight up libs and neoliberals. The whole point is that people think there's grifts on both sides when both sides are one side, just like you said. Very similar in their economic policies.
So you're saying
so leftism isn't
point
even
out-
represented
I
and
understand.
in the mainstream discourse because there's no ability to
So you
grift
want
off
an
of it.
example of the leftist version of Charlie Kirk or Crowder or Shapiro, etc.
Yeah,
and
like
there just aren't
the
really
farthest left in the mainstream are like the Young Turks, who are also capitalists and liberals. And then I watch streamers who are all just on Twitch or self-funded, not self-funded, but funded by like their mug club, their subscribers, but all their content's free, who are leftists. But AOC is not a leftist. Like, I don't think anyone in this country knows what the word leftist means. It's
I don't know. I would say that the polar opposites are further apart though right now than they ever have been, don't you think? Your far left from your far right. I mean, when someone with a diverging opinion that's not in line with the narrative says something like we talked about last week, Graham Hancock talking about ancient civilizations and anthropology and gets called a white supremacist and a racist to talk him down is very similar. I'm pretty sure his politics are left of center. I've heard him talk about some political things. He's got very strong opinions about Christian missionaries who brought disease and all kinds of things to the countries where they were going to spread the word of God. That's what they said they were doing, and yet what they brought was death and despair. I mean, he talks at length about that on that Ancient Civilizations Netflix documentary. If you haven't checked that out yet, you should. It's extremely fascinating.
We talked about Mother Teresa.
Yeah.
I've been learning more about her. It's crazy. But so when it comes to, we're talking about left and right, when it comes to political theory and the political compass and any other society that talks about politics and political theory like we do in the West, like we do in the US. No, never mind. This is global. Leftism is such a different thing than what we think here. Leftism is anti-capitalist economic theory. It's an economic theory that follows the teachings of Marx, maybe Marx-Lenin, maybe Marx-Lenin-Mao. It has very little to do with it. Just like when you go to the far right in other places, you see libertarians or anarchists. They're not as far apart. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if you can say libertarians are on the far right of the spectrum, though. I would say they're more toward the center.
Libertarian's a murky thing because I don't think they exist.
Come on, dog.
I cannot. There's no such thing.
The problem with Dave Smith, you don't take on any of
libertarians.
his content. I mean, he speaks from a pretty intelligent point of view about a lot of
Libertarianism always breaks down when you either ask about the age of consent. That's like a first thing you can go to. You could be like, so what about that? Is there a free market approach to that? Or what about wheelchair ramps? What about helping people? And there are libertarians that there's always a line where, even if that line goes all the way to we enforce things through contracts and councils and whatever, there is still a form of governance there. It just doesn't exist unless you're an anarchist libertarian, which is also not a thing or super popular.
Yeah, and I don't want to make this all about politics because it just gives me tired head, and it breaks down for me in terms of its interesting level because there's so much corruption and nothing's ever going to change. But I did want to bring something up while we're talking about politics and big tech. Did you know, and I don't know when this was, and I saved this and didn't research it so that we could organically find this out together, my bro, Sohill. Did you know that on Twitter, either recently or in the not too distant past, someone started a Twitter account that followed along with every investment Nancy Pelosi made. And what it did was it said on Twitter, she just made an investment here. She's obviously the best investor on the face of the planet, better than Warren Buffett, better than anybody. Copy that investment. Whatever she does, you should do. That Twitter account was identified, taken down, and banned. So, it's...
I mean, it sounds a lot like when that person had the tracker on Elon's jet,
I didn't know about that. What'd they do?
Oh, yeah,
Put an Apple AirTag on?
No. Like they basically live tweeted the location of his jet, and
I think that's a
the
little
whereabouts.
that's a little more problematic. One of my favorite words. That's a little more problematic, don't you think? That comes down to
No.
personal safety. No, why? Just because his carbon footprint or something?
No, fuck no. I mean, that's funny right there, but it's pretty public knowledge. It's just he didn't like that there was a Twitter following it. I mean, you have to all flight logs like that are public. Like you have to tell people you're in the air.
Right. But
So
I
it
mean,
wasn't
when you're taking off
anything-
and when you're landing in a jet that you're in, I mean, I guess if it's all public, it should all be public. But I mean, Nancy Pelosi makes $200,000 a year, and she's worth what? Give me an Alexa, how much is Nancy Pelosi worth? Answer back, Sohill. It's like 200 million, right? 150 million? A lot. She's worth a lot of money. She's the best investor on the face of the planet,
my God.
apparently. Like her investments, everything she touches turns to gold. She is the wisest, most equitable, smartest investor who has ever dipped their big toe into this thing we called conscious life on this planet. Is that lady right there, Nancy Pelosi. And we all just want to know how she's doing it. Like, you tell me you could turn 200K into 150 million if you do this, man. I'm following that game plan to a T, right? Like, that's the best. She appears to be the best investing guru that's ever lived. I mean, you want to go sit down for a coffee with Warren Buffett and learn about compound interest, have at it. I'm going to take Nancy Pelosi to French Laundry. On our way, we're going to get our hair done first.
Dang, French Laundry.
Bro.
Good drop, man.
And we're going to throw it down. And I want to learn all of her tricks. You know, how is she able to foresee all of this without insider trading or without making investments out in front of law changes? The corruption at the highest level of politics is crazy. We all know it. We had a tax strategist, a CPA, on a couple weeks ago. She said, listen, don't be intimidated by the IRS. Barbara Streehan's at Your Tax Coach on Instagram and TikTok. She's amazing. Check her out. She said, if you want to know what to do with your taxes, where to invest your money, do what the politicians do. The politicians are the ones who write the tax code. So if you want the hack, just do what they do. They write the code to benefit themselves. So if you want that same benefit, just do what they do. And I think she's got a hell of a point. I'm having a politician on today, politician who volunteered more at the local level. And we're going to talk about doing the most good you can do where you are with what you have. A lot of people I encounter say to themselves, well, I can't do that. I don't have a big enough platform. I can't do that. I don't have enough money. I can't do that. I'm not well spoken. I can't do that. I'm embarrassed to talk in public. I can't do that. I don't come from a good family. I can't do that. I don't have a Harvard education. Wrong answer. You can do whatever you want to do. You live in the greatest country on earth with the most opportunity, but it comes down to you actually putting in the work. A lot of us complain things need to change. What are you doing to be the change you want to see? Guy Mesger, been on the podcast twice, awesome guy. He's got, Guy is an awesome guy. He's got a great gym and MMA center here in Richardson, Texas. Be the change you want to see in the world. What does that mean? Be an upstanding citizen, but also, how about, I don't know, take some leadership. Start a business, employ some people, run for city council, run for mayor, run for a representative. Do something with your outrage. Do something with your anger. Do something with your overwhelming discontent, other than going on social media and saying all politicians are garbage. How about if we got a few more regular Joes in there who hadn't been in there for 20 or 30 years, who actually are of the people, by the people, and for the people, because they are the people, and they get in there and they actually make a change. So I'm excited to have Sarah Lamb on the podcast, the JMP, today. But it just, again, I come on this solo a lot of times, and it does boil down to me talking for like 10 minutes about how useless and how much of a waste of time complaining is, because it is just a waste of your energy. And your energy you should be guarding like your time. You're never going to get that energy back when you spend it. If you are watering a plant that will not grow, stop watering that plant. So if you're pouring your energy into something or someone or an effort or a business and it's just not going anywhere, don't quit spending energy, just spend your energy somewhere else. And I think it's inspiring when people like Sarah. She's a single mom of 2. She calls herself a California refugee, came here from California to the great state in 2015 to escape bad politics, bad economy, a very poorly run state. And when she got here to Texas, starts looking around, starts seeing things happening here she's not happy with, and she took action. That's what I want to empower people, anybody who watches my content ever, to do is not look at what you don't have, but look at what you do have and then make the most of that. Do you have your health? Can you talk? Can you walk? Can you work? Put it all into action. Take action. If you want to make a change, if you think changes are necessary, make those changes. Be the change you want to see. I think those are interesting points. Moving on to your Dallas Cowboys, who lost on Sunday night to the San Francisco 49ers. Close game, tough game. Dak's getting all the blame. Threw a couple picks. One was a great play by the DB from San Fran. The other was an ill-advised pass. Dak had no running game. Pollard went out at the end of, I think it was the first quarter, might have been end of the first half. I don't recall. I said 2 weeks ago, Pollard's got to have 20 carries, 20 touches. He doesn't have to carry it every time, but a couple of passes out of the backfield. He's got to touch that ball 20 times for the Cowboys to be successful. I think the Cowboys need to move on from Zeke Elliott. I think Dak is average. I think you could do way worse than Dak. I think a lot of people like to blame the top guy on a team, and you have to understand that a team runs as a team, and everything affects everything, especially in the game of football or the game of rugby. The guy who touches the ball most, he's got to make those decisions. He's got to make baller decisions in high-pressure situations, and Dak has let the Cowboy faithful down a few times. Not a Cowboy fan. I'm a Seahawks guy, but we absolutely messed the bed in our second Super Bowl on the 1-yard line against the Patriots. Didn't hand it to beast mode Marshawn Lynch. Tried to pass it, tried to get cute. Got it intercepted. Lost to Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, and the Patriots, and we should have had our second Super Bowl right there. So you got to have a complete team. And the Cowboys have a Super Bowl defense. They 100% have a Super Bowl defense. They probably have the best defender in the league in Micah Parsons. They have one of the best corners in Diggs, although that guy won't make a tackle to save his life. He's making business decisions on the field that hurt the team. If I was one of Diggs' teammates and I saw the effort that he made on that Kittle bobble catch down the center of the field, which if that's an incompletion, that's a different game. Diggs didn't even have to go in hard. He could have gone in, disrupted that ball, dislodged it. That wouldn't have been a completion. That would have set that game on a different course. He decided to go to avoid contact, and that's a business decision. Dion used to say that all the time, making business decisions. You don't pay me to tackle. You pay me to pick balls off and return punts. Diggs is a good player. Got a lot of picks last year. That's a great defense. They need some real help on that offense. CeeDee Lamb's not a number one. Dalton Schultz made 2 huge errors in the last 2 minutes of the game. Very nonchalant, very, very too cool for school. That's not really the way he plays. I don't know what happened there. You could tell the Cowboys didn't have a lot of playoff experience, but neither does Brock Purdy over there on the 49ers side, and he pulled it out. They pulled it out. That's a great team. The 49ers have the most talent in the league. I think it's going to be a close game with Philly. Philly is very, very aggressive, very strong up front. Then on the other
Super Bowl.
This is conference championship weekend, so we've got Philly and the Niners playing each other, and then we have Chiefs Bengals. And if you don't love Joe Burrow, I don't know what he could do to get you to love him. That guy he's next level. If you know much about everything that happened a couple weeks ago when Damar Hamlin collapsed during that Monday night game between the Bengals and the Bills, they called the game off. And then if the Bengals would have lost to the Bills and the Chiefs would have played at a neutral site in Atlanta for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. And they asked Joe Burrow about that. Look this video up, Sohail, if you can find it on YouTube. Joe Burrow refund. Just search that. Joe is awesome. Joe is a very confident young man. He's an excellent quarterback. He was asked, "Hey, do you feel overlooked?" Because you know, everybody's talking about that game being played at a neutral site, and he said, you better get those refunds
We talked
ready.
about it yesterday, just that chip on your shoulder.
Come on, Wi-Fi.
Speeding it up so we don't get claimed.
Everyone talking about a neutral AFC championship game, not even thinking about you guys. How much did that motivate you coming into this?
You better send those refunds.
That's awesome. That's so that attitude is badass. If you've noticed on the JMP recently, I have some very highly successful people in here. They've had success in their younger years, success in their older years in business or athletics or whatever. I'm asking all of them, do you walk around with a chip on your shoulder? And more often than not, I'll have people looking straight across this table back at me. Hell yeah, I walk around with a chip on my shoulder. Absolutely. Not ashamed of it. Not new age about it. Like, gotta forgive and forget. I need to walk with more grace. Need to meditate this chip off my shoulder. No, they use the chip on their shoulder to get where they need to go. They use it as fuel. I was talking to somebody the other day. They said, man, I got to work on my anger. I get so angry. I get so passionate. We were talking about insurance companies and how they rip off little old ladies, minorities, single moms, families in distress, and they do it all the time, and they do it with impunity. Nobody ever says anything about these insurance carriers like USAA. They tell you we love the troops out of their mouth on TV in a Gronk commercial. And then over here, when they're writing out your claim, they are ripping you off left, right, and center and robbing you blind and telling you if you want to get paid for something that you already paid for, you're going to have to compel us, which means you're going to have to force us, which I can help you with if you're going through it with your insurance carrier. And what I told that person who was like, I got to work on my anger, but I'm just such a passionate person, I said, I don't know, man. The greatest athletes of all time, whether that's Jordan or Brady or Tiger Woods, Lawrence Taylor, they took that passion, that anger, that ability to conjure up that adrenaline, and they focused it and channeled it. So am I saying walk around all the time all pissed off? No. Be kind to your fellow man. Help people out. Give them a hand up. Lift everyone around you. But if something makes you angry, don't lash out at the ones you love. Don't even lash out at another human. Take that anger, that passion, that rage, and try to focus it like a laser and just attack whatever it is that you're going after. That's an amazing new thing that I've been trying here for about the last 2 years. If I get angry, I don't beat myself up and go, man, tamp that down, meditate that out. Let's put on some singing birds on YouTube and let's just deep breathe this out. Man, no. If it's the middle of the day and we're firing on all cylinders and we're in the middle of the ring and we're chucking knuckles, man, I focus that anger, that passion, that rage all at a task. Maybe it's a task that I've been avoiding. Maybe it's something I've been procrastinating about. If I can focus that energy, man, it's very powerful. Just dial all the way and just knock out the entire middle of that target. Just take out the center of mass. So whatever it is that you've got to take care of, use that as fuel. I love Joe Burrow. He's got that rugby mentality. It's a beautiful thing to see. He's very, very confident. He leads his team from the front. He walks with confidence. That's a guy who has a chip on his shoulder because he was told, nope, you come from Akron, Ohio. Nebraska told him they didn't want him when he transferred. He transferred from Ohio State to LSU. LSU welcomed him down with open arms. He led him to a national championship and is leading the Bengals. I'm rooting for him here on out. I think the Bengals beat the Chiefs. I think the Niners beat the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think in the Super Bowl, I think that's going to be a tough one. I don't want it to go this way, but I think the Niners walk away with it because they have the most talent and they're the strongest up front by a long shot. And they are just absolutely rabid on defense, and they can run the ball on anyone, although the Cowboys shut that running game down, and that was something to watch. That was pretty amazing stuff. I hope the Cowboys can get it together, and I hope people will extend Dak a little bit of grace because you could do a lot worse than Dak, and people didn't realize what they had around here when they had Romo and no offensive line, and pretty much just Romo just got pulverized into retirement. At least we're keeping Dak upright. He did have that bad injury 2 years ago. He's come back. I still don't think he's full speed. I think if Dak can get things shored up and we can get that running game squared away for y'all Dallas fans, I think that would be a big thing. And then finally, today on the solo, I wanted to talk about equality. I think equality is a really weird word. Equality, equal, that's a mathematical term, right, Sohail? Like 1 + 1 = 2. The number 5 equals the number 5. Whatever you got to do to make the number 5. So it is all about numbers. It's about quantities. It's about amounts. The word equal, the word equality. We're hearing this a lot. Men and women are the same. Men and women should be treated the same. Women can do the same things as men. All of these things are things that I strongly disagree with. My mom does not have the same energy around me or to me or when I was being raised as my dad. My dad did not have and did not try to have the same energy as my mom. There were times when my dad was my comforter, and there were times when my mom was my motivator and disciplinarian, and vice versa. There were times when I would go to my mom when I was distressed, bummed out, even later on in life. There were times when I didn't even want to go to my mom because I felt so embarrassed that I was even struggling with whatever it was. I would go to my dad. Whatever it is that's in people that's making them go around and tell everyone men and women are the same, that's bullshit. That's not true. It shouldn't be true. In my life, what I observe is that that's not true at all. I am attracted to the type of woman who has much different character traits than I have. If I was going out and looking for a woman who is exactly the same as me in every capacity, I don't know what I would find. First of all, I don't think I'd be physically attracted to a woman with my build, who carried herself like I do, who sounded like I do, who looked like I do at all. So not being equal does not mean not being worth the same. It does not mean doesn't have skills. It does not mean doesn't have different skills, different core competencies, different abilities.
When we're talking about this, like equality in a legal sense is different than what you're saying. You're talking about like different characteristics. Let's just say, what's the worst thing if there are women who believe they can do or be in your head what is supposed to be reserved for a man? Like what's going on?
What's the word?
What's the issue?
The issue to me is that in a world where with the way we talk, how you say things can get you canceled, we're now saying things that don't even make sense. And those are becoming these de jure terms that we just all roll with. Oh, yep, equality, equal pay. We live in a capitalist economy. If you are a woman and you can do your job better than a man, you should get paid better than a man. If you are a man and you play a sport and your sport gets more eyeballs on it than the same correlating women's sport, you should be paid more. This is not there should not be these blanket statements of men and women are equal. They should be all treated equal.
I'm saying, where's the push for the WNBA to make as much money as I've never heard
WNBA? No, women's soccer, yes.
Really?
That's a big thing. Women's okay. Man, Google that.
I know women's soccer is pretty popular, but
nowhere near as popular as the men's.
Sure.
And when the men's won in the world, did you know that when the men won that match in the World Cup to get out of pool play, that the women's World Cup team collected money from that, from what the men did? Is that fair?
I have no idea about that. Like,
yep. So it's true.
I don't know about sports. I'm not going to talk on that, but you're talking about equal pay. Where's the push for someone in the same position who is a woman? Where's the push for someone who's not in the same position, not doing the same job? The push is for equal pay for someone in the same job, in the same position, doing the same performance.
Right.
That's what the conversation's about. It's not like, I wish it was about like everyone got paid the same, but no, that's not what.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this.
50 years.
Sure. So I'm pretty dialed in on sales. So if I have 2 reps in front of me, 2 project managers, one's a woman, one's a man, the woman gets better results than the man, and I have to lay one of them off. I'm going to lay off the one that doesn't get the best results. That's what we're all about here, competition. Now, if you're in a romantic relationship with someone else, to me, What I have found to be successful in my life, whenever it has been successful, is that my inadequacies, my shortcomings, the things that I don't like to do, that other person rounds that out, and I do that for them as well. If I'm walking down a dark alley and I'm all about equality, hey, we're equal, and someone comes at the two of us, what do? Take a step back and go, she's my protector, man. We're equal. Like, and what do I say to her? Like, protect me? We're equal? I mean, that's what our society's telling us. No.
I've never heard that.
I mean, I would never be able to do that.
Scenario that is just.
No, I'm telling you, what I'm telling you is you got the people who are going around telling us what to say, how to say it, when to say it, and they're going to cancel you if you don't say it the right way. They don't put all of that bullshit woke academia into the real world. I'm walking down a dark alley. It doesn't matter if it's with my lover, my mother, my sister, an employee who's a woman, or a woman I don't know, and someone comes at the both of us, I'm knocking his teeth out and handing them back in a Ziploc. I'm not going to make her do it. So I don't really give a damn what everyone's definition is. I know the way I carry myself in my life.
No. What
is
about
as a protector and a provider?
What if a Ben Shapiro's walking down the street or a dark alley? Sure, for you fit into the prototypical masculine male thing, or what about an 80-year-old man? Like, everyone's different, right? Every relationship's different. Every scenario's different. There's plenty of short kings and like weak guys out there with a stronger woman.
All I'm saying is
for your life.
I'm just saying the
right?
term. I'm
for
just
your
saying
life,
that the term equality it's the wrong word. It's the wrong term. It's a mathematical term. It doesn't even make sense for what everyone wants it to make sense for.
Okay, that's fair.
If it's equal rights, the same rights, there are no rights that a man in the United States of America has that a woman in the United States of America does not have. That does not exist. You can ask any feminist, what rights do you not have that this white straight man has? And she cannot tell you one right. Am I missing one? Because there aren't any. So equal rights, that's a term. But walking around and saying the term equality, it's the wrong word.
I get what you're getting at.
It's like comparing an apple with an orange. They're both awesome. They're both good for you. They're both so different. So it's just a point of view. It's my point of view. I just am getting real sick and tired, and I just turn it off and don't engage. I don't watch the news. That doesn't even enter my consciousness now, mainstream news. But I just think that it's really weird. And I think, again, going back to what I was talking about at the beginning of the solo, form your own opinions, do your own research. And then, if you find something that changes your mind, have the integrity to say, you know what, I was wrong. I see how I was wrong. And this is what changed my mind. Or I'm not wrong. I'm going to continue to live my life. I don't know, man. Just trying to be the best person you can be is not about talking about it or doing research about it or writing posts on social media about it. It's about what you do in the world every day with what you already have and where you already are. So like if you just control everything that's 100% in your control and you control all of that to the nth degree and you better the people who are in your immediate sphere of influence, and we all did that over and over, could you imagine the macro changes that would happen as a result of this micro effort? And I just think we should celebrate women for how beautiful they are, for what they bring to the table, just like we should celebrate men for their strength, their intelligence, their aggression, their ambition. And it pains me to see that there are people out there who are saying that that's not acceptable or that's toxic. Yes,
speaking
there
of,
are things that are.
Talk about Don't Worry, Darling. We'll table that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week.
That movie came out like 6 months ago, but
yeah, it's not.
But no, it's a great Jordan Peterson clip you sent me. But it's nice to take a week break from just talking about straight up
100%.
What are we gonna do without men?
Being a board organization. Thank you all for joining me on the JESS MARSHALL Solo Podcast, Curious Jess. If there's something you guys want me to talk about or look into, man, You should DM me on Instagram at any time at Jess from the Northwest, and I will talk to y'all later. What's up? Thanks for checking out my videos here on the JESS MARSHALL YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe for sure. Hit that bell. Press that button to watch the next video. If you got a question you have about any of the topics I bring up in the videos, drop a question below, and we'll be sure to get an answer back to you ASAP. See you on the next one.